Welcome to Golf and the Good Life, your guide to golf travel across the pond. I'm DJ Jones, joined as always by my friend and colleague Connor Evers. Connor, great to be back with you once again. We're coming into a pretty exciting time for those of us who like golf across the pond with the Open and Scottish Open and so forth on the docket. How are things looking on your end of things?
DJ, it is also great to be with you. Can't believe we're on part three of the Southwest Ireland portion and looking forward to chatting about that. But yeah, everything has been good. A lot of groups are traveling and weather has been still really good. A lot of groups are enjoying themselves across the pond. And as you said, I'm very much looking forward to Open Championship week. It is upon us here in a few weeks. So looking forward to that. A few weeks when we're recording this, by the way, but it's probably a little bit closer when this episode comes out. But yeah, looking forward to it. Royal Liverpool has been posting a lot of good stuff on social media and of the sort. So I think every day they've been posting something or practically of the different holes and everything, which has been really good. So yeah, everything's great, DJ.
Yeah, it has been great to follow Royal Liverpool. If you don't follow them already, I believe they are RLGC Hoylake. Give them a follow on Instagram and Twitter. They've been posting great stuff every day. And we will have, before the Open, an episode dedicated entirely to not just Royal Liverpool, but to England's Golf Coast as a
Mm.
whole. But before we get there, we have to first, like Connor said, finish our deep dive into Southwest Ireland. When we started this, we did not set out to make a three-part series. We're not here, we're not in the trilogy business, but that's just kind of the way it's worked out because there is so much great golf and good life to see in this part of Ireland. Connor mentioned in the last episode that, occasionally groups are they're trying to squeeze a trip into, say, 7 or 8 days, and because of it, they have to cut a course or 2 from their itinerary, and choosing which one you're gonna drop is not easy in this part of the world because because it's all so good. If you haven't listened to part 1 and 2, I invite you to go back and do that. We're basically working our way from north to south in this region, and where we left off last time was Waterville. Connor, why don't you tell us all about it?
Absolutely, DJ. Appreciate that. And Waterville is fantastic. And before I kind of get into some of the history and kind of specifics of the course, my planner hat's going to come on here a little bit. So Waterville, when you're in the Southwest area, it's going to be, if not the longest drive, or one of the longest drives from your accommodations to the golf course. And that's again referencing if you're staying in Killarney. There is the Waterville House Hotel, which is on property at Waterville, which is convenient. But again, you're kind of out there on kind of the Ring of Kerry, if you will, on your lonesome. So with traffic, which we'll talk about the Ring of Kerry and some other tours, I mean, it can be upwards of an hour and 15 minutes to sometimes an hour and 30 minutes from Killarney out that way if you're in the busy months. So the nice part about Waterville is the course is actually open Monday through Sunday for visitor play. So some of their courses, like we've talked about, Ballybunion and Tralee, they're only open, pretty much during the weekdays, not weekend play. Tralee is not even open on Wednesdays. So the nice part about Waterville is you have a lot more flexibility when it comes to some of those days during the week, but a little bit more specifics when it comes to the course itself. The course is originally built for workers who operated the telegraph lines that ran actually to America. So we have kind of a personal reference there to Waterville, which is cool. The course was purchased by an American. We transformed the course and the Waterville House Hotel just into a great destination, again, out in the kind of the Ring of Kerry. So if you're looking at a map, it's kind of the furthest western point on the Ring of Kerry. Tom Fazio actually redesigned the golf course a few years ago. It was around 2015 when it was finished. So 17th tee is one of the most stunning places in Ireland and specifically to the Southwest region. And if you've received one of our proposals before and seen some pictures of Waterville, you also see some of our groups standing there with the statue of Payne Stewart. That statue is actually at Waterville. So Payne Stewart really loved Waterville and the area. He was actually elected to serve as a club captain when he passed away. So it's a pretty cool spot. And again, we'll talk about the Ring of Kerry a little bit more specifics, but it's one of those courses you can play while you're out there touring as well. So Waterville is amazing and one of those courses you're definitely going to want to play when you're in the Southwest. So DJ, bring us to the next golf course. We're making our way again a little bit more south there. Bring us to the legendary Old Head, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Old Head is one of those places that most people can't wait to get to, and
Mm.
this is no exception on the podcast. I mean, it's often nicknamed the most scenic golf course in the world, and it lives up to the title. If you're not familiar with Old Head, I would suggest you pull it up on, say, Google Maps and take a look at the piece of land, because you look at it and you say, how did they find a way to put 18 holes of golf on this random peninsula headland type piece of property that juts out into the ocean? But they did, and it's absolutely incredible. I mean, it is just basically one show-stopping view after another. One of the landmarks on the piece of property is the lighthouse that's out at the end of it. The lighthouse was actually the last point of contact for the Lusitania before it was sunk. So a little piece of history that you encounter throughout the round. There's actually been a few lighthouses through the centuries, and there's some ruins from a previous version of it that I believe it's the sixth green backs up to, makes for a sort of unique hazard out on the course. But the fourth hole, easily one of the most photographed in Ireland. It's called Razor's Edge, and it kind of runs, or the cliffs, I should say, run up the left side of the fairway. It is no time for a snap hook. But you run into that a lot throughout the round at Old Head. The 12th tee is another example. Again, looking at the map, you'll notice there's kind of this skinny peninsula that then connects to a bigger chunk of land. Well, somehow they managed to put a par five out on the, I guess, would that be an isthmus peninsula? I don't know. My geography is really failing me right now. But anyway, they managed to put the 12th hole out on this little skinny piece of land. And you stand there, and first off, you feel like you're falling off the edge of the earth. But then you look out toward the hole, and it's like, where do I hit it? There's no fairway out there. Well, there is. But this hole might very well be the most Instagrammed golf hole in Ireland. Maybe the ninth fairway at RCD might be one exception, but it really just kind of boggles the mind. But Old Head is one of those places that we've talked about it in the past. It's meant to be savored. Don't get off the coach, play your round of golf, and get back on the coach and leave. You need to spend some extra time at Old Head and soak up that view. And the patio at the clubhouse is the place to do it. We mentioned in a previous episode, it is my favorite 19th hole in Ireland. The food is great. They have an awesome lobster roll. I won't go into the lobster roll again. I already covered that. But just a place that you don't want to rush off from. So much so that, a lot of our groups, they opt to play it a second time, which often means, maybe staying in one of the lodges, but it also means quite a bit more planning and advanced planning to try to piece that together. Because Connor, as you probably have, more experience on this than I do, Old Head has become pretty much just like County Down and Portrush in terms of the demand for the tee times here.
It has. You're definitely right. I would say, if not the number one, it was definitely in the top three hardest golf courses to get on your itinerary in the southwest region of Ireland. So it's a little bit more challenging to get that way, just because there's a high demand for it. And the other reasoning why, and it really comes in kind of a logistics factor, is their tee times are every 15-minute intervals. So some of the other courses are sometimes 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-minute, or not even 12, but kind of 8 to 10-minute intervals. And with Old Head, it's actually 15-minute intervals. And as DJ said, and you're probably Googling, you've got a lot to see. And that's kind of the reasoning why, is they kind of, again, give you a little bit more time to see those views, because a lot of times you're going to be looking out rather than to the golf, which is completely understandable. And it makes the round a little bit slower. So those tee times are a little bit spread out, which means there's less to get. So again, a little bit more challenging. Sometimes those tee times are a little bit earlier in the morning or in the afternoons, but I always kind of, if the tee times aren't ideal, to push you towards, playing kind of the afternoon, because sunset at Old Head is pretty spectacular. So.
Yeah, I mean, while most groups are going to say, "Well, I would love to have a 10 a.m. tee time
Mm.
because that's kind of the ideal thing." you're right. There is definitely an advantage to playing later in the day, in the summer at Old Head as the sun sets. If you catch it on a nice day, weather-wise, there is no other place like it, hands
Mhm.
down. But there is quite a bit of good life to explore in this part of Ireland. Candidly, it's probably one of the most popular areas for the good life, really of anywhere on the island, beginning with the Ring of Kerry. Again, looking at the map, the Ring of Kerry is just as it describe as it sounds, is a ring that kind of goes out onto a peninsula. The town of Killarney is more or less the eastern side of it, and then it works its way out to Waterville and kind of makes a nice big loop. Well, it's an incredibly scenic loop. So many little quaint villages that you'll want to stop and pull off and get a piece of fudge or whatever it might be. And so as a result, it attracts a lot of traffic out there in the Ring of Kerry. And Connor already covered, the fact that getting out to Waterville may take a little longer. As you are, making the loop there, you'll eventually end up seeing the islands offshore known as Skellig Michael. It's some of the oldest, earliest known settlements in Ireland. But what a lot of people will know it for today is it featured in the most recent Star Wars movies. I was thinking it through, Connor. I'm pretty sure that it's episode 7, where at the end of the movie, Luke's climbing up the top of the mountain and Rhea, I think her name's Rhea, is following. I don't know if that's right, but it doesn't matter. I'm not a
I
Star
believe
Wars.
you. I
I'm
believe
not a
you.
Star Wars person. But anyway, she's following him up the mountain and Luke is looking all pensive and stuff. Well, that's Skellig Michael, and that's
Mm.
where they filmed it. So a neat little connection. But if there is any advice to give when it comes to the Ring of Kerry, it is to start early if you can, because you are not the only one that has the idea of seeing this piece of scenery. The tour buses get to be pretty chaotic, in the peak summer months. So start early. You usually will end up getting out ahead of those. You might even want to plan if you're playing, say, Waterville, try to plan it in the afternoon
Mhm.
so that you do the Ring of Kerry, get that off your list, and then have a nice afternoon leisurely round at Waterville. But it's fantastic, but also not far. As you're headed over toward Old Head, is the town of Cork, and Connor, plenty to see there as well.
You got that right, and we keep going back to it. There's just so many good options in the area. But we're making our way south. So we're talking about Cork now. The accommodations, I mean, the really big accommodation there is Hayfield Manor. Plenty of the different great rooms there, suites as well. The gardens within the hotel and the manor, if you will, are fantastic. So it's going to be kind of your main spot there in Cork. Town's fantastic, but there's great pubs, great shopping, great restaurant offerings. So there's a lot to do. Cork also has a lot of history. Actually has specifically some maritime history, and Cork was actually going to be the Titanic's last port of call. So it's pretty interesting, for that area. The other nice kind of big thing that a lot of groups will want to do is the Jameis experience, which is about a 30 or so minute drive away from Cork. It's to the east. A lot of our groups will, come down to play Old Head, and it's going to be one of their first rounds or one of their first rounds, on their expedition. And they'll sometimes stop at the Jameson experience there, again, about 30 minutes east of the town of Cork. Do that, and then maybe stay in Cork or Kinsale, which DJ will talk about here next. The other nice part is there actually is a golf course in Cork, which is Cork Golf Club. It's not a traditional links golf course such as Tralee or Ballybunion. So it's a little bit, Parklandish kind of feel of it, and it's also kind of on a kind of harbor. So there's some cool views. The cool thing about it is actually an Alistair McKenzie design. So he also designed Lahinch. So you can get 2 Alistair McKenzie designs down there in the Southwest area. If you are playing a rival day golf, or maybe want to play a bonus round of golf, you can take a buggy and won't kill you for your feet. You can keep your legs for some of those other rounds of golf that you'll have to walk. So Cork has a lot of great offerings, again, when it comes to accommodations and just pubbing and restaurants as well. So it's a great area. It's about a 50 or so minute drive down to Old Head. So it's fairly close, and a little over an hour or so drive to Killarney. So DJ, let's go a little bit further south and go to Kinsale if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kinsale's, one of my favorite little towns in Ireland. I mean, just kind of the quintessential seaside-ish, experience. And in Kinsale, the Trident there is a perfect little spot right on the harbor. If you're playing Old Head, and earlier we mentioned the lodges, and if you're wanting the full immersive Old Head experience, that's another great option, down at Old Head, but there's not very many of the lodges. So,
Mhm.
you might find yourself at the Trident, and it's a great alternative. Kinsale is nicknamed the gourmet capital of Ireland, which, if you're a foodie, it lives up to the title. Fishy Fishy has been a favorite of our travelers for you know, probably since it opened. I've been there numerous times. I mean, great spot and shouldn't be missed. Man Friday is another good choice as well. But what a lot of folks will think of when they think of Kinsale, other than the harbor, if you were to type in Irish town, and there's a good chance the results from Google are going to have a picture of this really colorful stretch of shops. There are these vibrant colors. That's Kinsale. But, another unique thing, to the Kinsale area is just outside of town, there's the Kinsale Garden of Remembrance. It's a great little tie to the United States because it was founded by a woman who spent her career in New York. She retired to the Kinsale area, and she basically had a garden built in remembrance of the firefighters lost on 9/11. There's 343 trees, one for
Mm.
each firefighter and the chaplain, and just a great little spot. One of our groups actually made a stop there last year and had a nice stroll, and it was great to see their pictures as well. So, just another great reminder of the bond between our two countries, and it's just a kind of a touching spot. But Connor, I think at long last we may have finished this trilogy from Southwest Ireland. Before we wrap it up, anything that you want to add there to cap it off?
No, I mean we started from the Doonbeg Lahinch area and ended down at that Old Head. So we did everything in the Southwest area. Pretty much hit every single golf course and all the accommodations and what have you. Good life that we'd recommend and have for our members that travel there. So as I said before, if groups are going to Ireland for the first time, every different type of group that has different needs and wants and preferences, this area can get it. You've got great lodging, great touring, great pubbing and great experience, and the golf as just as good, if not better. So I think we hit it all and some, DJ. So I appreciate us going through this, and I think this would be a really good guide for people wanting to go to this part of Ireland.
Yeah, absolutely. And, obviously we covered a lot of ground throughout the 3 episodes. So if you've missed anything along the way, we have noted everything in each of the show notes for the episodes. Everywhere that we spoke about has been linked there. So have a look. But as always, if you have any questions, shoot us a DM or send us an email, golf@haversham.com. But otherwise, thank you as always for tuning in. We will be back again soon with our episode from England's Golf Coast and the 151st Open Championship. But until then, we wish you plenty of golf at its finest and life at its best.